Bethany Manctelo here. Welcome to our Millwall fan show with some new voices, but the same focus. Just everything Millwall. Enjoy!
Welcome to the 2023-24 series of Millwall No One Likes Us Talkings, our Millwall fan show. I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robinson and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Well, we were saddened to hear that former Lion Mel Blyth passed away last Saturday at the age of 79. Phil Coleman was a teammate of Mel and shares these words with us all.
I was at the Den for the game when I found out that my former Lions teammate Mel Blyth had sadly passed away at the age of 79. I know Mel played for Scunthorpe, Crystal Palace and was a key member of the Southampton side that won the FA Cup in 1976. Mel was about 33 when he signed for Millwall in November 1978, where George Pedgie used his vast experience to guide young players like myself and that great youth team that we had on and off the training ground. Mel was a big character. He was always handing out the stick and laughing and joking, but he was tough, solid defender who certainly let you know if you did something wrong. He, along with Big Kitch and later on John Jackson, helped me and lots of the other youth team players out on and off the pitch. Although he'd done me for a good few Mars bars, we used to go to the shop before the game, and before I get on the coach, Mel would always say, "Get some Mars bar, I'll pay you back later." I don't think Mel ever paid me back, but he was good fun. I know Mel went out to play in America after leaving us, and then he came back and used his vast experience again coaching at Crystal Palace Academy. I'm sure I speak for all my old teammates, Mel's old teammates and the fans when I send sincere condolences to his family and friends. Thanks to Mel for everything. Rest in peace, mate.
Rest in peace, Mel Blyth.
Indeed.
So it was a 3-1 loss down the Den on Saturday against Middlesbrough. Gary, welcome back to the show. If you were reporting for Maritime Radio, as you have in the past, how would you present your thoughts on Saturday's game?
First 35 minutes, I thought Millwall outclassed a decent side who have been on a very good run. Some of the football was outstanding. Some of the best I've ever seen down the Den in recent times. But then, as I think Joe Edwards said, we sort of ran out of steam. We sort of ran out of our own ideas. We let them back in with not a sloppy goal. It was a well-taken goal, but sloppy for defensive reasons. And then come out the second half trying to go again, but it just took a defensive mistake to let them back in. No disrespect, if Brian doesn't head that inside, we probably get a point out of that game or even maybe nick a result. It's just one of those things, and that header inside completely flattened the crowd, completely flattened the team, and we went on to lose the game, unfortunately. But it was just one of those things. You can't blame Brian because he's been a great servant for the club this season. And to be honest, you wouldn't want to take that goal away from him either, would you? So, unfortunate, but I think we'll move on this weekend with another 3 points against QPR. I suppose we get onto that later.
Yeah, we will. Ted, Danny McNamara has impressed you on the right-hand side, hasn't he? Do you think Cooper's a good fix for the left of the back three?
I always think Jake Cooper looks more comfortable on the left side of a three. Danny Mac has done well. I can't say that he hasn't, because he has. He did well when he got thrown in against Leicester, and he had a pretty good game. I echo quite a bit of what Gary said there. I mean, some of the football that we played in the first part of that game was exceptional. I was even asking people around me whether I was in the right ground, because I thought myself, this ain't the team I normally come and watch. But they played. You can see how they've progressed under Joe Edwards. Maybe not in a league position so much, because we had the bad run. But it's certainly the way they're trying to play and the style of football they're trying to play is certainly much more pleasing on the eye. And you can see that all of the guys in the back line seem to have gained a bit of confidence about what they're doing and how they're moving the ball around, which I'm sure our next guy on the panel is going to absolutely go mad about, because it's what he's been screaming for a long while. But the football was great. I think the problem was, to a certain extent on Saturday, with the injuries that we had, we was lacking a bit of options in the sense of, someone like a Maku coming on who would have frightened the life out of him with his pace. I think would have changed the game up a bit. And that's where I think we started going a little bit stale, but we didn't have enough on the bench to really change things. But Gary was right. At the end of the day, if Joe Bryan lets that go and doesn't make that header and put it where he did, which at the time I thought he was trying to get back to the goalkeeper, but he didn't. It was taking something like that to win that game, and it could have gone quite easily either way. We still had a few chances. We still could have got back into it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But you cannot be impressed. I didn't hear anybody moaning about the game when coming out of the den on Saturday. Only the result, which says that we are moving in the right direction under Joe. We've just made our first signing today, which I think could be a pretty good signing. One or two more, just to bolster the squad up a little bit. And I wouldn't still not count us out of having a chance of getting to the playoffs. I really wouldn't, because I think if we carry on playing that sort of football, we only have to start putting the ball away in the back of the net and we will be there.
Exactly, Ted. Stan, we'll come to you next, mate. Talk about the new signing, Japhet Tanganga. He's just signed on loan from Spurs until the end of the season. What do you make of it?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't know a lot about the guy, right? And, I know he was at Spurs and then he's been out in Germany and he hasn't played out there. But then again, you see, we don't know what the circumstances are in Germany. It might well be that the guy who signed him when he went there is not necessarily there now, or they've had a new manager come in and he plays it a different way. I'd be interested to know what the circumstances are, but I don't hold that against the bloke, right? I first saw his name, was it yesterday? And I thought, oh, well, and the way I look at it is that Joe Edwards would know all about him because he's an England under-20 and he he's been in around that scene. That's what Joe Edwards was doing. So he's fully aware of what he can do and what he can't do. Personally speaking, with a lot of these young players, I'd be very surprised if a lot of them he don't know a lot about, I think he's well clued up on all that. So, I'm quite excited by it. And, as I say, if that's Joe Edwards' judgment, that he's, up and coming and this, that and the other, well, that's fine by me. If that's what he reckons, he's in a better position to know it than I am. And that's fine, right? Again, you hear about this injury stuff. Well, okay. As I said earlier, there's always somebody coming with some sort of downside to everything. But no, I think if he'll be okay personally. But I agree with what Ted says in relationship to another couple. Coming in. The only thing is, it's I don't know. You might know, Myles, but there's all these figures being bandied around about Charlie Cresswell. First it was 2 million, then it's 4 million, then there's add-ons, and then there ain't, and whatever. But I think we need, I think we probably need another defender or midfield player. But I say defender because at the moment, until Cresswell's ruled out, I think they're going to try and get him. And then I think we need somebody up front as well. And coming on to anyway, so that's my take on the player and where we should be in the transfer window.
Fantastic.
And do you want me to talk about the game from Saturday?
Yeah, if you can do.
Yeah, well, in actual fact, I listened to Ted, and I agree with Ted. When Ted made the point about, he was asking people around him about the sort of football we were playing. My mate who sits next to me, he said to me at one point, he said, I'm not watching Millwall, he said, I'm watching Brazil, right? That's how good it was. And each week it's got better and better because... You see, the thing about it is with a manager comes in, he comes in, okay, I'm not saying he won't want to start bringing his own players in, but some people just think all he's got to do is be given a checkbook, start spending, and that's it. Well, that's only part of the story because, by by the way we're playing now, that they are improving as players. The way they're playing, they are improving. So that's worth 10% should be for every player to start off with. As regards to the game, I agree everything what Ted said. I mean, I think we just ran out of puff. I mean, old Longman, he was running up and down all over the place. I think at the end of the day, they took him off because he was just totally cream crackered, right? And after the game, people were disappointed that we lost the game, but they weren't. But I know because I walk up to Surrey Docks and I listen out for them, and none of them are complaining. Even when we lost to Leicester, everyone agreed. Everyone said, "Oh, it was a good game and that," but all right, we lost. So I think I don't think we're going to get relegated. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near it personally to come the end of the season. And if we make the playoffs, fine. But if we don't, then I won't lose any sleep over it because things are going to be turning around. We're going to be seeing progress all the time. And if it all comes good and we get to the playoffs, fine. But we'd have to wait and see how it goes. But no, I'm happy.
Good.
And I thought we played really well on Saturday. We just ran out of steam. That was as simple as that.
Yeah. We'll take a break there and hear about our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Hi, this is Jess Tuffield from G&M Motors. Operating from a modern and purpose-built facility in Milton Road, Gravesend, G&M Motors offers a complete range of new Honda cars and services. As well as new Hondas, we have an extensive range of used cars, including ex-Motability cars from a variety of manufacturers. Specialising in new Honda cars, G&M Motors has been retailing quality new and used vehicles to the people of Kent and South East London for over 4 decades. We have been a Honda dealership since 1972 and are the country's longest serving supplier of this renowned mark. Conveniently sited just 2 miles from the A2, 10 miles from the M25 and Dartford Crossing, visitors to our showroom are assured a warm welcome from our experienced and friendly staff. Our facilities include an on-site workshop capable of providing full vehicle servicing and repairs, as well as an extensive parts department offering genuine Honda parts and accessories. The expertise of our skilled mechanics is not limited to just Hondas, but extends to most makes and models of motor vehicles. Whatever your motoring needs, visit us at G&M Motors today. The newly extended hours of our G&M headquarters means that you can contact us from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. on Saturdays. To contact us, call us today on 01474 365 026.
Thank you, Jess. Debbie Julian's here. Don't forget to call Jess on 01474 365 026. G&M Motors have been dear friends of the Julians family for over 4 decades now, from my dad Lenny to me, Debbie. Lions together.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the Lionesses talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robertson and Stan Godwin. Many thanks to our sponsor, G&M Motors. Why not go along? See what they have. We'll take a break there and hear from Billy Mitchell talking about Millwall's annual Community Day.
So 2nd of March is our Community Day this year as we play Watford at the Den. It's a great day to showcase the work that Millwall Community Trust do. So I hope to see you all at the Den then. Bye.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the Lionesses talking team of Gary, Ted and Stan. As soon as any updates about the Community Day become known, we will let you know. But we'll be there getting a fan and contributor thoughts from midday. Let's hear now from Ellis Barr. Keep us posted on what you're up to, Ellis.
Hello, Ellis here, and I'm glad to be back talking about Millwall. I know many have watched my videos, so you will all know that I don't wear splints as much anymore. Thanks for your support along the way. It is now time to hear what all the Millwall teams are up to. Come on, Millwall!
Thanks as always, Ellis. Well, no better place to start than with Paul Lodin, Millwall Romans and Pride General Manager. Let's hear what Paul has to say.
Just to add on the goal scorers on that one, a great goal from our manager, Rob Barr, who is still suffering with an injury but still playing at the age of 43. He joined me at centre-back on Sunday, making the age of the two centre-backs 84 years old together. But a cracking goal from Rob Barr from a corner, leaped in the air and managed to jump it over the keeper. And then 2 goals from our striker, James Baker. As for Pride, they were at home to Barnstormers. It was a bit of a disappointing day for them. They went 4-0 down by half-time. They did manage to come back to 4-3, but just couldn't get that final goal in, even to nick a point. So disappointing from Pride, but well played to them at 4-3 at home to Barnstormers. This weekend, both teams are on a break. We are having a bit of a friendly amongst ourselves on Sunday morning just to keep up some fitness. Just a 10 o'clock kick-off on Sunday morning, just as a bit of a friendly to go on, just to keep up the fitness. As for Millwall this weekend, obviously disappointing from them last weekend, dropping points. I think QPR are somewhere near the bottom. I think they're second from bottom. So I think we've got to take it 2-0. I'm going to say to Millwall.
Thanks very much. Mixed bag of results then for Mill Romans and Pride on Sunday in the first division of the LUL London Unity League. Romans are 1 point off top in third, and they are now capturing the form of last season. In the second division, Pride lost valuable points, but they lay second and are 3 points behind the leaders. Much improved form this season. Jeff Burnage filed a report for Maritime Radio following the Millwall Lionesses' loss at home to Ebbsfleet United at the weekend. What happened, Jeff?
Yesterday, Millwall Lionesses suffered with ongoing injury problems. No Chrissy Wiggins in goal, Millie Connell, Liv McGregor, Emma Witter, Shana Giordani are all out injured at the moment. They're all senior players, and the Lionesses struggled in this match against a much improved Ebbsfleet side who are approaching last season's form, where they were very unlucky not to get promoted to the National League. Millwall started well, with young Clemmy Young given a first start after last week's goal-scoring debut from the substitutes bench, and she had a goal disallowed and forced a save out of the Ebbsfleet keeper early on. But on 11 minutes, unfortunately, the Lionesses conceded a goal from a short back pass converted by Amelia Woodgate, and that hit their morale. A second goal followed, also scored by Woodgate, and then before half-time, St Vincent international Tenny Charles, who had been very busy out wide on the left most of that half, she scored a third. The joint managers, Adam Rowland and Alex Russell, their instructions at half-time would have been to at least draw the second half, and they looked like doing that with a much improved performance up until about the 75th minute, when another bizarre goal, direct corner from one-time Lioness Dan Carlton, struck left-footed from the right-hand side, somehow went between Chloe Burr and the near post and sneaked in via a deflection. That was a pity. They went on again, and Amelia Woodgate did complete her hat-trick on 85 minutes before Lionesses' Shannon Drew scored an excellent goal, which was only a consolation, although they did come close on a couple of occasions to adding to that after. They now look forward to next week's game against Queen's Park Rangers, who are a strong National League side in the Capital Cup, and the joint managers will be hoping for some good news on the injury front. I caught up with Alex Russell after the game. So, Alex, I don't really think the scoreline reflected the game. What were your impressions of today?
No, look, I don't think the scoreline probably represented the game. I think they probably did deserve to win. They probably did edge it, but not a 5-1 scoreline. There's at least a couple of goals that we can probably hold ourselves responsible for, but large parts of the game we did do well. We played how we wanted to play, and we're still missing a couple of key players, so I think it's something we can take positives away from and look to build for in the next couple of games.
And the next game is National League Queen's Park Rangers at home here again. Be any changes to the team, or are people still too far away from being fit?
There's a couple of people probably still too far away, but definitely see some changes next week. It's a good opposition to test ourselves against. It's sort of, Adam and I's where we want to be in terms of a level of what QPR are at, and it's something that we think we can go out there and compete on a good level against.
That's in the Capital Cup.
It is.
Thanks, Alex.
Cheers, Jeff.
Cheers, Jeff, indeed. The legendary saying. But before Saturday's game against Middlesbrough, Millwall's community champions were presented with their awards. Congratulations to all 23 involved. After the presentation, I was pitchside reporting for Maritime Radio and caught up with our very own Eamon Barkley and Millwall Romans and Pride player and manager Andy Dolan. Let's see what they had to say. Local community heroes will be celebrated up and down the country from Friday the 12th of January to Saturday the 20th of January as the EFL Trust and the EFL 72 EFL clubs and their community club organisations launch the first ever EFL Community Weekends. For today's game, 23 Millwall Community Champions received their awards pitchside. Amongst them is No One Likes Us Talking broadcasting and Maritime Radio reporter Eamon Barkley and Millwall Romans and Pride player Andrew Dolan. We'll start with you, Eamon. Tell us about the award first of all and how you feel, accepting it.
Well, I was a bit reluctant to accept it in the first place because I know what we do. No One Likes Us Talking, and I know what Maritime Radio does in promoting the community. But I've got to say, it was lovely to have that happen, and it's an award that's shared with all those that are involved in promoting this club in the way that it does, and the work that the Trust actually does as well. Thanks to Sean Daly and all involved, and the 4 players that were on the pitch, George Saville, Hutch. My brain's gone dead, but I'll remember the other 2 in a minute. Yes, Bradshaw, he was there too, and Ryan Leonard, yeah. So that was great to meet all them and have the award presented. But a great day, and something that's, I think, well worth clubs all around pursuing. Thanks, Myles.
Andy, first of all, for you, well done. Talk to us about how you felt accepting the award.
Yeah, similar sentiments to what Eamon said there. I think it's such a lovely touch from the club, and it's something that was unexpected. I think regardless of whether you get this sort of recognition, it's something we'd be doing anyway. We were doing anyway, right? We were playing football and organising and all together, and I'm sure Eamon would be producing audio because it's in his blood, right? Anyway, but when you get a bit of recognition, it's sort of validating, and you feel like you're getting recognised by people.
Lovely. Well, thanks both of you for doing this interview, and just I did go on to say about a quick reminder for Millwall fans, but there's no point doing that because the game was underway 15 minutes late. But next up for the Lions is QPR away. They come into the game on the back of a loss against Watford and have 3 losses and a draw in their previous 4 league games. We're on the back of a 3-1 defeat to Middlesbrough, but 4 wins and a draw behind that. Despite QPR's current form, they're 7-5 favourites to win the tie. I've nearly read that as title. Whilst a draw and a win for us is 2-1. Maybe our injuries and what's been quoted as a second half collapse by some against Borough has brought the odds in favour of QPR. What do we reckon, team? We'll start with you, Stan.
Well, I don't think the odds favour QPR at all, to be honest. I mean, I'm a bit surprised really because they were going downhill, weren't they? And they got rid of the previous manager, Ainsworth, and they brought in this other guy. And he then started to rally him a bit, and I thought, oh, this could be interesting. But they seem to have lost their way lately, and hopefully they'll continue to do that when we turn up on Saturday. So, but no, I don't know. They don't hold no fears for me. There's no reason why we can't go there and beat them. We didn't, and as far as I'm concerned, against Middlesbrough, we didn't collapse at all. I mean, I don't know who's saying that and what game they were watching. I don't know, but it certainly weren't the game I was watching. Run out of steam, yeah. Collapse, no. But no, I think that we're more than capable of beating QPR. And I'm not going to be there, unfortunately, on Saturday, but I wouldn't mind betting that the game that we play Saturday, and I'm talking about it will be an improvement. I'm talking about in the performance, right? Will be a performance better than the one we did on against Middlesbrough, because I've noticed each week we get better and better. So no, I think we'll win the game about 2-0 myself.
Sounds good. Ted, how about you?
I mean, I've got confidence like Stan in us because of the way that we're playing. I must admit, I don't like playing against sides that haven't won for a while. I've got to be honest. That always worries me a little bit because in my brain it says they're going to win somewhere soon. And they got Elias Chair, who's quite a player for me. He's always a threat when we play him, so it's not going to be easy. We may have a new player in our ranks. Is it Taganga? Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Taganga, who I must admit was mightily impressive to me when he played for Tottenham. Hasn't been around for a few games, but for a few seasons. But hopefully, if he comes back in and starts showing that form, whether this is a bit early for him because he's only just joined. But we also have George Saville back. And I think that is what we've needed, one or two players to come back just to bulk up the squad a bit. I'm not sure about Maku. I think he might still be out, but he'd be nice to get him back. But no, I've got confidence like Stan in the way that we played last week. If we can take that into this game and just finish off some of the, well, quite frankly, brilliant approach work that we was playing against Middlesbrough and finish off on a few of the chances that we have. If Duncan Watmore's listening to this, shoot, because I don't know what the bloody hell you was doing last week. Every time you seem to have the opportunity, you seem to take one more touch and not do it. When you get yourselves into good positions, as my old coach used to say, if you don't shoot, you don't score. So I think if we can be a little bit more clinical, a little bit more selfish, get on the end of some of these chances that we're creating, I'm in Stan's camp. I can see us beating QPR 2-0.
Sounds good. Gary, how about you?
Can't disagree with anything that's been said before me. I just find over there it's one of those games where there's always goals. I think we've had 2-2, 4-3, and it's one of those grounds we can't seem to win at. I don't want to put a voodoo on us, but it is one of those annoying grounds we always struggle to win at. I think the 2-2 was we were 2-0 up, and was it Gregory got sent off for a nothing challenge, and then they end up being 2-2. Just a frustrating ground for me, but they are going through a really, really hard time. We're out of our bad run, and I think we will be able to put a performance together. If Tatango, whatever his name is, comes on in the second half, I think he really adds to the vibes that we can bring with us. I'm going to go with Ted. I think we will concede, unfortunately, on Saturday, but it'll be 2-1 to us. But I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be fine. But as I say, it's one of those annoying grounds where we never really get a result at. But fingers crossed we can finally break that voodoo and Joe Edwards can drive us on to victory.
Yeah, that's the thing, Gary. I mean, it's a derby. You can't lose sight of that.
Yeah.
We got the better of them at Boxing Day, but looked the better side, I've got to be honest. But they wasn't without their chances against us.
No,
I think
exactly.
as usual, the all-important thing in the Championship is if we score first, I can see some of their heads dropping. And hopefully we will gain a bit of confidence out of it.
The only thing I will say, Ted, as well, they have got a couple of their players back. I noticed the other night they had, I can't think of his name, he's been out for a while. Is it Willock did back, and a couple of other one or two in chairs. Obviously, still hasn't found any form at all this season. I know he's a player I really do rate. But maybe just having getting one or two heads back might cause us a bit of a problem, but you never know.
Well, I'm gonna go with a 3-0 win. I think that as you've all mentioned, they're not a very good team at the minute. Ainsworth did not do a good job at all. And then Marty Clefwentz, is it? I think it was him. He was on our coaching team previously. But yeah, they're 23rd in the league. We're on the up. The football we play, I'm going to go 3-0. Agree with what everyone said here. And 3-0 win. And I think we're going to start to win more games now. Well, I'm going to hope. We will take a break there and hear about the amazing Lions Food Hub.
Hi, Harvey Brown here. I am proud of the Lions Food Hub, which is jointly owned by Kelly and Ellen Webster, and they have been supporting families within our community for over 2 years on Millwall match days. If you would like to donate to them, they have a match day donation hub at the SE16 bar at Coldblow Lane, end of the ground, where they accept any food or money and toiletry donations. If you can help, any donations will be received with thanks.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Gary, Ted and Stan. Kelly, Ellen and the rest of the Lions Food Hub team are always looking for donations, so if you want to help, they will be positioned opposite the Blue Bus at all home games this season. Financial donations and other items will be gratefully received. Our second guest tonight has followed Millwall man and boy. He also volunteers with the Lions Food Hub on match days. He was in the Netflix film The Bromley Boys. Without further ado, let's welcome Criag Wilson to the virtual studio. Hello, Craig.
Hi, everyone.
All right, Craig.
How are you all?
Fantastic. Thanks, mate. It's great to have you on the show as a fan in the dugout, Craig. First of all, was becoming a Millwall supporter your destiny or an option?
Oh, no, it was always my destiny. I'm the fourth generation of Millwall fans in my family, and I don't think I'll ever forget walking into the den for the first time and finally realising that this was my home.
Gary?
Hello, Craig. Gary here. You have supported Millwall for a good while now. Out of the many games you've attended, what match is your most memorable at the Den?
Well, I've been really fortunate to see many great games at the Den. We've had playoff games and the like, but I think knocking Leicester out of the FA Cup when they were champions of England and we were only League One at the time, and looking back at the quality of players they had like Prime, Vardy, Okazaki, Mahrez, I think we had 10 men as well, and I think it just epitomised what the Millwall spirit is and why we love this club.
Hi, Craig. It's Ted here.
Hi, Ted.
Hello, mate. All right. How's it going on at match days at the Lions Food Hub? And what's it like? I know the answer to this one myself. What's it like working with Kelly Webster? And what can fellow Millwall supporters do to help?
It's going really well. There's no fan base more generous than the Millwall fans. Working with Kelly and Sue and anyone that helps at the Food Hub is an absolute blessing, and they're all such an inspiration. We take any sort of donations, cash, food, anything with a long shelf life, toiletries, anything's really appreciated. And, I just love every minute. You get to see so many different people. And, I enjoy every second working with them.
She's certainly a one-off, Kelly, isn't she?
Absolutely.
How's her leg now, by the way?
I think it's getting there.
No, bless her.
What's your Craig? It's Stan here, mate.
Hi.
In your introduction, Myles mentioned that you were in the cast of The Bromley Boys, now on Netflix. Could you talk about that, mate, and how it come about?
Yeah, I've always loved acting, and I was actually working at Bromley Football Club at the time in the club office, and the company who produced it came to us and asked, could we put an advert up for extras? And my colleague said, why don't you put yourself forward to be a fan in the stands for a few days? And so I put an application in, and then not long after sending off my photos for costume, they said, actually, we like the look of you. Do you want to be one of the Bromley players? And ended up doing the entire of the shoot and got to work with the likes of Martin McCutcheon, Alan Davis, and Jamie Foreman. And it was an absolute pleasure.
Oh. Have you had any more offers, or is that just so you
I'm
know?
always on the lookout for offers. I'm always on the lookout. If any opportunities come my way, I'd always jump at the chance to do some more. But at the moment, that's it at the minute.
Ah, right.
Sounds great, mate. Thanks for coming on and letting us know about you. But before we say goodbye, can you please give us a prediction for QPR versus Millwall this Saturday?
I mean, we only played them recently back on Boxing Day, didn't we, at home? So haven't got a good result there. They're obviously struggling for form at the minute. And I think the way that Joe Edwards has got us playing at the minute, I think I can't see past a 2-1 win for Millwall at Loftus Road.
Thank you very much for that, Craig, and hopefully we can get you back next season to share your thoughts once again. Until next time,
Absolutely.
all the best to you and yours.
And you.
Yeah, cheers, Craig.
Cheers, Craig.
No worries. Thank you.
All right then. So we're gonna talk a bit about the transfer window and Joe Edwards. Really, we'll start with you, Gary. Do you think, obviously, we've brought Japhet Tanganga in now? Do you think we could maybe get a few more signings in, or what sort of positions do you need?
I'm glad you can pronounce it right, because I had about 5 attempts earlier and I got it completely wrong. But I personally would like another striker. I think I've wanted another striker for a while. As Ted says earlier, I don't know if it was on in the background or on the show, but Nisbet is maybe not up to the pace of the Championship yet. He's not had a run of 10 games where he can get up to speed. He's been in and out, had a niggly injury here, swapping places with Bradshaw. I don't know. I think someone like a Kiefer Moore, a taller man, a bit more of a target man, so he don't always have to rely on Cooper, who gets marked out of the game all the time and gets fouled left, right and centre and never gets a free kick. I just think we've always, if you look back, look at the big tall strikers we've had, Matt Smith, Dicchio, etc., to name 2. Always good target men, tall target men who can get on the end of crosses. The amount of times I see the ball going into the far post and I think, oh, where's Danny Dicchio or Matt Smith when you need them? And they're just not wasted balls. They're great balls, but just there's no one on the end of them to finish it off. So someone like that, I feel we're screaming out for. Even if it's for the last 20, 30 minutes of a game, someone coming to the end of their career like Dicchio was, like Smith was, etc. at their prime, just to help in those situations for a season or two. I'm trying to think of the other one, who we bought from Oxford a few years ago as well.
Paul Moody.
Paul Moody, yeah. Another fantastic striker. And they're the type of players we need to come in. Signing players like Tanganga from Tottenham, that's a real statement of intent. I do like Joe Edwards. I know he's had a bit of a hard start. I was up at Sheffield Wednesday for the first game and I thought it was brilliant. But that was with the players playing the old way, but with a little bit of fresh thinking. Now, he's obviously got through that rough patch. I do find we conceded 3 far too often for my liking, but it's getting there. It really is getting there. It's lovely to watch. Saturday morning, like everyone was saying, I didn't know Saturday afternoon, I didn't know what we were watching. I was just so aghast to some of the football and the one touch and the movement and we slightly ran out of ideas, and obviously Middlesbrough, once they got in front, they put all 11 men behind the ball, so we were never going to break them down. It was just one of those. But I do think Joe Edwards is going to bring this club forward. Do I think we'll have a run at the playoffs? No, I really don't. I think we'll stay around mid-table this year, get the right players in to stable the club, get the players who are going to probably hang around, the likes of SA, etc., playing the way he wants to play. Obviously implementing that into the under-21s as well. And then just build for next season, because we have got a very good under-21 squad, and get some homegrown lads coming through, and maybe nick a couple of Premier players who just aren't making it at the moment, or just want to go out and join a Championship club for regular football. I think that's what we need. I don't think we need old heads anymore. We've got enough of them around the club to support us. But I think we're on the right way. We're going in the right direction. And then I think, give it a year or so, I think we will be knocking on the playoffs door, because Joe Edwards is the type of manager to bring this club forward.
100%. Ted, what do you think, mate?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Gary was saying there. I mentioned Keeper Moore earlier because in the last transfer window, we evidently come very close to signing him. And at the time, I was told he wanted to come. The thing with Kiefer Moore is he is he is a goal-scoring centre forward that would give us a little bit more physicality up the front. I'm still not giving up on Nisbet. I think he may still come good. It is a bit difficult, but in the Championship. But, you know, like Gary said, maybe after a run of games he might improve. But I just think Kiefer Moore in this division is a more guaranteed goal-scoring machine, if you know what I mean. So I'd like to see us have a go for him, or if not, someone like him, as in the sort of physicality thing I'm talking about here, giving us a bit of physical strength up on the front line. I think I would let Alan Campbell go back because I don't think Joe fancies him, because whilst we've had a few injuries and that, he hasn't looked at him at all. George Honeyman has come back into midfield, into a central midfield role and played really well. So I would maybe let him go and bring in, if it could, another midfield player from somewhere, so that you've got George Honeyman, Billy Mitchell, George Saville, and one other. That would sound good to me. And perhaps one more speedy forward, should we say? Someone with a bit of pace about him, that may be a young lad out of one of the Premier Leagues that has got a bit of pace about him, fearless, and just have a go with a ball. I mean, I like the look of Longman as a signing. I like Joe Bryan at left back. He gives us a bit of quality. Up in the front there, Duncan Watmore can do it. He can certainly come off the bench and cause problems. He's done that in the past. But yeah, I just that little bit more variety throughout the squad would, with all our injuries that we've got, hopefully one or two of them coming back, we'll have a squad where if you look on the bench, everybody will be thinking, I've got to play today, otherwise I'm not in next week. If I don't put in a performance, there's a guy there that's going to nick my position, which I think we was getting to with the Bristol City game when I looked at the bench. But I may be being overly hopeful about getting 3 or 4 players in. But I, for one, if we got that sort of amount in, I think this squad can, this is where I differ from Gary, I think this squad can and could go close to the playoffs. I'll tell you an example, Coventry. They've had 1 or 2 players come back and all of a sudden they are flying. They've got their best players back in and they're up there getting amongst it. And this division's so tight that if Millwall can go on another run like they just had, in a month's time, we'd be talking about them being close to the playoffs again. So, that's where I'm looking at it. A good transfer window, and it could really push us on and get us closer to them playoffs.
Stan, what do you reckon, mate?
Well, I mean, I've got no problem in the fact that we need another forward. I mean, because they're always handy to have. But I think we've got to be a bit careful here because, I don't know what the position is with regards to Charlie Creswell. Now, the reason I say that is because if we're going to buy him rather than loan him, right, and the indication seems to be that Leeds are prepared to sell him, right, then what we've got to be careful of is that we don't mug ourselves and then we suddenly find ourselves next season restricted because of financial fair play, right? I mean, I know see people go and say, oh, well, we're going to get Creswell. I mean, one of the figures I've heard is that it would cost, with the transfer fee would be £4 million. Now, I'm just saying that's the figure that's been quoted. But if it turned out that figure was right, and even if we could afford it, and personally I don't think we could, but even if we could, then I think we've got to be very careful then, because you don't want to do this now, and then when it comes to because in the January transfer window it's always difficult. You get most players going out on loan here, there, and everywhere with a view to signing. Now, if we get a bit gung ho with the money, right, we don't want to find ourselves being 6 months down the road, suddenly being told, well, hang on, you can't do this and you can't do that because you could be done for, financial fair play or whatever. So I think we've got to be careful, right, about who we're going to bring in and what the fees are and all that sort of stuff. Which, if we're going to do that, it could then restrict us. We may not want to go. We may not be in a position to go for Creswell, right? Or whatever. So, because I would think myself, if we go for Creswell and get him on a permanent deal, I mean, that's going to be quite expensive. And then if we're going to go for, Kiefer Moore, I mean, he ain't going to come cheap. And I'm talking about in terms of his wages. So I just think we've got to be a little bit careful about, who we want and who we don't want. But I mean, it's interesting. I mean, like last week, for example, when we played Middlesbrough, I mean, it's interesting because, last season Middlesbrough were flying, weren't they? And they missed out, and the 3 forwards that they had banging in goals, they lost all 3 of them. 2 they had on loan, and the other one he got sold. And the 2 that was on loan, they couldn't get them back because they were then sold by their clubs. And I thought that this season Middlesbrough would be up there, but they're getting there. And I always thought that game last week against when we played Middlesbrough was always going to be a good test for us, and it just shows you how far that we've come. And as we've already said, I thought we'd done quite well, but we faded in the second half, right? And as I've said before, if we make the playoffs, and I'm talking about me personally, if we make the playoffs and I accept we might be in with a chance. If we make them, fine. But I personally, if we don't, I ain't going to get too upset about it, because I think you're then got to, we've got to be a little bit more far-sighted, and then start looking about what we're going to do next season, and what's the plan, and because hopefully everything will be a lot better then. So, I'm quite happy with Joe Edwards, and the style of play. I mean, you know what my views are, and I watch that now, and I just think to myself, well, if anyone can tell me that's boring football, well, if that's boring football, then I just don't know what they want. But no, I'm quite happy where we are. We're going in the right direction, and it's the future looks bright.
Stan, I think the good point that you make there is the football we're trying to play isn't boring football. The football that we've seen Swansea and clubs like that over the last couple of years play is boring because they're not playing progressive. They're just playing around the back too often.
Yeah, but you see, they may be. But let me just say this, right? I've had people say to me, right, is that I've heard it. They keep saying to me things like, what we want, right? And this is where I get sort of, I don't say annoyed, but it does. I just don't understand, right? The football on the football field has changed, right? The way the game is played is changed. You go to any under-21 game and whatever, it is changed. They don't lump the ball down the front. They don't know how to do it that way. They're not taught that way to play it.
No,
it's all based on, the passing out from the back, the exception, the play in the way they do it now. That's the way it's done. And you watch any team in the Premier League, any team in Europe, any team in the Championship, they do not do the sort of football that a lot of our people wanted, which was 4-4-2, big man, little man. It's not played like that no more. The game, I'm not saying personally, I think that's a good thing, but the fact is, the game has changed. We've got to stop living in the past and living on old memories all the time. Some bloke was on to me the other week. When we got into the first division, he said, we had 4-4-2, Carter going down the wing for Sheringham and Cascarino. I said, yeah, that's fine, mate. 35 years ago. The game has moved on since then. Now, whether you think people think it's changed for the better or not is another matter. But what is undeniable, the game has changed, and you have to change with it, or you get left behind.
Can I just
you get left behind?
I just want to come in about Creswell. We won't sign Creswell now. Not now we've signed Taganga.
You may well be right, Ted.
I don't see it. I don't see the reason behind it. If spending the sort of money we would have to spend on Charlie Creswell to get him here on a permanent thing, like the fee that Leeds would ask for him, because he signed a contract, if you remember rightly, at the end of last season and whatever. So I think he would cost quite a bit of money to come here. And we've already got a guy who, let's face it, has proven himself at a higher level than Charlie Creswell in Taganga when he was playing for Spurs. So I don't see us needing to go for another centre-half. What I think, and I'm hoping, is that maybe they may be thinking the money we might have gone there, but now we've got this replacement of a centre-half, let's look up front. And they put it on something. I know they spent a few bob on Nisbet. I know that. But I think, unfortunately, Nisbet and Tom Bradshaw are both fairly similar, and what they both lack is a little bit of physicality. They both punch their weight to a certain extent, but their weight's not quite big enough. So I think, and I'm not talking. When I talk about Kiefer Moore, I'm not talking about lumping the ball up to him and that. But
No, I know what you mean, Ted.
What you can do with some of the likes of Kiefer Moore, because of the strength that he's got in him and that, is you can play the ball off of him. He can be like a wall to knock the ball off of. You know what I mean? You're not going to knock a ball up, and I'm not talking about a long ball. A ball into feet with Nisbet and Tom Bradshaw. So quite often they get knocked off the ball too easy.
Yeah,
And,
I just say this, Ted? I think Kiefer Moore, right? Let me just say this, and I agree with what you're saying. But I watched Kiefer Moore when he played against us, right? And when Harris was the manager, and in the first half, right, the ball was, and the thing that struck me with him, because normally players of that sort of height, they're normally not that good on the ground, but he was very good on the ground. He had good pace, right? He was good. Both his feet were good, and he was a good mover. And I think, in my opinion, when they changed it and they were lumping it into him, right? That took away from him because he was
he's a better player than that, Stan. But what I'm saying, I heard Gary say earlier about the team letting him 3 goals and whatever. But let's not forget the 5 games before that, all they let him was an iffy penalty that should never have been a penalty.
That's
so
right.
I think basically with this guy coming in, I can only see us being stronger as a back 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever he plays. And so that side of it, I think, will take care of itself. I still think that I can see the problem of not scoring enough goals up front. That's why I think
I agree.
If we get a Kiefer Moore in, whether it's Kiefer Moore or somebody like him in, and we start scoring goals, we will be flying up this table, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
We've got to move on now. We will take a break there and listen to Bethany Mangtolo talking about the how you can support the Millwall Community Trust and the amazing work that they do.
The Millwall Community Trust, something that I, Bethany Mangtolo, admire for all that it does. The Trust was established in 1985, works to provide sporting, education, social and healthy lifestyle opportunities to the local community in Southwark, Lewisham, North Kent and the wider community. Its work is targeted at people of all ages, irrespective of race, gender or sexual orientation, and runs programmes aimed at tackling social exclusion, racism, knife crime, lack of employment opportunities for young people, mental health and disability issues. The Trust aims to be a progressive and campaigning charity that makes a difference to ordinary people's lives. Its work is undeniably essential to the local community. They have sponsorship opportunities to support this work. Email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. That is email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. Please help if you can.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me are the No One Likes Us Talking team of Gary, Ted and Stan. If you can do any of those things, it will go a long way in helping the MCT complete all of the, as I mentioned before, amazing work that they do. We're all looking forward to the next game, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans.
Millwall host Preston North End in the Sky Bet Championship on Saturday the 27th of January, and the match will see the club hold its annual Memorial Day. The day will see the Lions honour all supporters sadly lost 2023 by the way of a minute's applause as their names are shown on the stadium big screen before the action gets underway. The list of names will also be available to view in Millwall's online digital match pack and on the Lions official X account at Millwall FC. On the day, if you're a Millwall supporting friend or relative who sadly passed away in 2023, the club wants to hear from you. Please send your loved one's name by email, clearly marking the subject line as Memorial Day, to slo@millwallplc.com by Wednesday the 24th of January. I will say that email address again. That's slo@millwallplc.com, and that is small case, by the way.
Next week, the wonderful Bethany will host our team of Myles, Stan and myself, along with a couple of guests. Additionally, if you have not heard the No One Likes Us Talking special featuring some of the heroes of 50 years ago talking about an outstanding FA Cup win at Everton, which was absolutely one of my favourite games, which Jeff Burnist hosts with excuse me, let me put my teeth back in, which Jeff Burnage hosts with a panel of Brian King, Steve Brown and Dennis Burnett, who are members of that team. Be sure to give it a listen. It had great plaudits. Also, don't forget Millwall Lionesses are back to cup action on the 21st of January at 1:30pm against QPR at St Paul's Sports Ground. Rov. Get down there and give our Lionesses the backing that they deserve.
Millwall's digital match pack is available for sponsorship in 2023-24. The match pack is delivered to the inbox of every single supporter who has bought a ticket for a home fixture on the morning of the game, and is packed of exclusive interviews and features, as well as latest thoughts from the Lions head coach Joe Edwards. This season, sponsor the match pack and gain exclusive benefits such as a framed and signed copy of your issue, the chance to meet 2 Millwall players and have your photo taken with them, plus much, much more. The average click rate for Millwall's match pack stands at 12.14%, which is much higher when compared to the UK average of 1.6% in 2023. The highest click rate came for the Lions Sky Bet Championship fixture against Bristol City with a percentage of 20.23, meaning your brand could be promoted to thousands of match-going fans. For more information such as pricing, event availability, contact the club's commercial team, whose details are on the Millwall website.
Yeah. I would just like to add that local business Plush are going through one of the toughest times that they've faced during the 22 years that they've been on site in Rotherhithe New Road. Michael Kinklet, who owns 5 businesses which are being shut down, says he has 28 members of staff, including himself, employed to run a car wash, barbers, beauty salon, Caribbean food takeaway and a music studio. They're being shut down due to the landlord wanting to build high-rise flats on the site. Speaking to myself this afternoon, here's what Michael had to say.
This is the landlord's doing. 2 days ago, 3 o'clock in the morning, I get phone calls from the community saying that there's bailiffs trying to take over the site. Turned up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. They won't let me on site. There's like 20 of them in there. Nice guys, I still don't have my relocation. They're not going to be able to build here. This site might be vacant for like 5 to 6 years. Now, I'm proud to say, even for you, Myles, that Millwall fans now, they love queuing up to get the jerk chicken and curry goat and pepper steak and things like that. And I love that. That's history being made there, That's it. It's sad. It's sad to see. The area is definitely not going to be the same without us. I'm sure about that. But they've messed with the wrong guy in it, because I don't quit. I don't give up. And I'm going to continue fighting.
Yeah. Well, if you're one of those Millwall fans who get your pre-match food on match days from Plush, or you live in the local area and you want to raise awareness regarding the issue, then please share the thoughts of yourselves on social media. Their Instagram and Twitter handle is @PlushSE16. All support will be highly appreciated by Plush and the local community. Well, don't forget you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team, bring reports from our games, both home and away, for both the Lions and Lionesses, and also updates on Millwall Community Matters 2 on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter social media sites and all popular podcast sites. That's it from me. Thank you very much, Gary.
Thanks, Myles. Great show. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Cheers, Myles.
And thanks, Stan.
Yeah, and thanks, Myles, and all the same to you, mate.
And thank you for listening, everybody. And finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by G&M Motors of Gravesend, Honda dealers and much more. Thank you.